All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network. Giants lose a tough one as they get walked off tonight, 6-5 after holding a 4-0 lead after the first inning. And Giants just failed to get it done. We'll talk about it. We'll break it all down for you. But first, let us thank our sponsor of the show, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Hey, if you're needing an attorney, especially a personal injury attorney, make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call. That could be anything. That could be a work injury. That could be an auto accident. It could be maybe your significant other pissed off at you so bad that they smacked you after another Giants loss. I don't know. Maybe not that, but give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs. 415-613-9483. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. And we thank Chapman Law Group. All right, guys. A tough loss for the Giants, especially tonight with the Mets winning. The Giants are now 3 back, but 4 back with a tiebreaker. They lost the tiebreaker tonight to the Diamondbacks as the Diamondbacks win the season series. So the Giants have 11 games to go, and they've got to make up 4 on the Mets. It's not looking good, guys. Maybe time to break out your 49er hat, as I have on tonight. But you know what? They're not officially eliminated. You got to go play the games, and you never know what can happen. They've lost now 4 in a row, and this is kind of what they do. I heard a statistic today, guys. Listen to this. The Giants, prior to tonight's game, in their last 444 games, were 222 and 222. In their last 400 games, they were 200 and 200. In their last 200 games, they were 100 and 100. And after 150 games this year, they were 75 and 75. Is that not the definition of a mid organization that overpays for mid players and has a bunch of guys that are just average? I mean, wow. Can you believe that? They have been exactly 500 for almost 3 years. What do you make of that, guys? What do you make of that? And what do you make of tonight? Well, forget. We'll come back to that. What do you make of tonight's loss, and how big of a loss is it?
Well, they knew this game. I mean, they don't have room for error. They're already 3 back of the Mets now with the tiebreaker, and the Mets already won. So, you know, they're just trying to tread water at this point and stay within range. But, you know, losing 4 in a row, you're just falling farther and farther behind. This game was not set up for success, just with the pitchers that you have. Beck starting. Beck, McDonald, Lucchesi, Buto, who was terrible last night, and Walker, who's been terrible lately. Those are 5 pitchers that only one of them was on the team just at the beginning of this season. Walker. No one else broke camp with the Giants. So you already don't like your chances. But they came out hot. They came out hitting. They put 4 runs on the board in the first inning and hit another one in the third. And we're thinking, okay, we got something going here. The offense decided to show up tonight, and then they decided to just clock out at that point and take the rest of the night off. And at that point, it was just a matter of waiting for the bullpen to implode, which finally happened in the ninth inning, and that was the end of it. So it was it wasn't a game you expected them to win just by how it lined up, and the hot streak. You thought maybe you saw some signs of it early in the game, and then the
6 hits in their first 9 at bats tonight, and you're thinking, okay, and then they just went cold.
Yeah, total of 8 hits tonight, and I think
6 were in the first time through the order. 6.
Right, yeah. I think in the first, they were all in the first 3 innings. And did they get any more hits? I don't know.
They got 5 hits in the first. Then they only, if you take Wilmer's homer out, they got 2 hits the rest of the game. That's it.
Okay.
So it was rough.
There's your standings. The Reds did lose tonight to St. Louis. St. Louis could pass the Giants because they're only a game and a half back, and the Giants have 3 with them next week. But there's your numbers right there, and you see the loss 73 to the Mets. If the Giants won out, let's say the Giants got hot and won their next 11 games, they would finish 86 and 76. That means the Mets would have to lose 4. They'd have to go 8 and 4.
I mean, that could happen. The Mets could lose 4, but the Giants will be lucky to win 2.
Yeah, exactly.
How are we going to win 11? Why are we even bringing this up?
I'm just
we
throwing
still got
out
to win tomorrow, and we got to go 4 against the Dodgers. That'll never happen.
I'm not saying, Lou, it is. I'm throwing
It'll
out.
never happen. So there's no need to bring it up.
Right. What I'm trying to throw out is the
How about Arizona's up a game and a half of us, which is actually 2.5.
Lou, let me make my point. I'm trying to make it like the Giants pretty much don't have a shot. Even if they won all 11 games, they're likely still not to get in.
They're still probably, if they win all 11, they're probably in.
Yeah, if they win 11. But even if they win 11, let's say they won 9 of them. They go 9-2 and they run off some crazy streak and they win 9 and they finish 84 and 78. The Mets only have to win 6. The Mets could go 6 and 6 and they're in. That's what I'm saying. This is practically over.
Yeah. I mean, you could get that fork logo back up and you'll probably be fine, throwing that.
They've got 11 games to go, but Robert thinks they can win 12, says Aaron. Robert Rothberg having some fun. Never quit. You got to love Robert. But there's your standings, guys. This was you can live with the Sunday loss. You could live with last night's loss, Monday. But what you have a hard time looking at is Saturdays with a 4-1 lead and tonight with a 4-0 lead. And they blew them both. And I'll tell you what, the issue that is going to be the biggest pressing issue this offseason is a complete remake of the Giants pitching staff. You want to know what I think they should do? I think they should go out and sign at least 3 starting pitchers. And I don't care if they're aces. They got to have arms. The Kansas City Royals last year signed Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, and I can't remember the third pitcher they got, but it got them into the playoffs last year because they had pitching depth. The Giants have no depth. You want to go with Keaton Wynn, Tristan Beck, Kaiwei Teng, Mason Black, Carson Wisenhunt. I mean, and that's just after you get past Webb and Ray. I mean, that's who's your starters going to be next year? Who's your bullpen going to be next year? This is, and you know what? The Giants constantly do this. They think they are really good because they're excellent in the first half, and then every year they just crapped the bed in the second half. I think Lou said we haven't had a winning record in the second half since 2021. One time since
2015.
2015.
One 2021
10
only.
years, they've had one winning record in the second half. And this will mark another one unless they get hot. I don't remember what they were.
Arguably, the second half is more important.
Arguably, yeah. It's kind of a funny thing how that works. Look at Arizona, how they have struggled all year long with injuries. But you know what Arizona has? They have Geraldo Perdomo, Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, 3-star players. And then they've got pretty decent role people that fit around them. You know what the Giants have? Rafi Devers. That's it.
You also got to remember they traded their best hitter at the trade deadline to Seattle.
Oh, that's right. They traded Suarez. Yeah. Imagine if they kept Suarez right now.
You want to know what they have? They have better coaches, and they have guys that know what it takes to win, guys that have been there. We bought this up last night. The Giants have no one that has been to the playoffs, when you really think about it, that have been there before. And, I also got to blame Melvin. I got to blame Melvin and Buster for this. Why is it we bring up a guy in McDonald who hasn't pitched all year? I don't even know who this guy is. I had to look him up. We called him up 5 hours ago, and we bring him in a must-win situation where he pitches the 4th and 5th inning. And I thought what was worse is why do they let him go twice where it was 9-1-2? You're going against Arizona's best guys, the guy's first time up all season. Why is this guy up? I don't give a shit.
I told you last night they're going to bring him up because we looked at the 40-man last night.
He's horrible.
There's no one else.
Well,
they need someone else, and they don't have anybody.
Fault. That's Buster's fault then. You got to blame somebody, and you bring him up. You can't let him go against 9-1-2. It's the same thing over and over again.
He's actually got some potential, but, he's been okay.
Oh, I hear this all season, potential. Every one of our guys that you just mentioned, Dan, are bums. We got to get rid of all these crows, crumbs, everything. I don't want to see any of these bums back next year.
You do need to,
but they don't, because Giants who work for the Giants and everybody else are homers. They all think they're better than they are. You just mentioned in 3 years we're 500. We're going to be the same thing we've done 3 years, and next year we're stuck with the same people. We have no future. Tell me what the future is going to be. Eldridge? We hope. Why didn't they pinch hit him tonight one time? He didn't pitch hit once. He's our superstar, and we didn't use him in a must-win. I'm so sick of Melvin. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was an opportunity tonight to pinch hit for Eldridge for Kinzer, and I guess Melvin was worried they were going to bring the lefty in. Because
who cares? If this guy's that good, he's going to have to face lefties eventually.
Of course he is. The fear of the left-handed pitcher it's crazy to me.
All right, let me make a point. Senior, I can't take him out of last place. My thing's missing. I'm missing a sticker there, so we'll take the A's off the board. They're not in last. I'm gonna put something up for you guys tonight. I don't know if it's already.
And while you're doing that too, I just want to say one thing. We blame obviously Walker in the 9th, but the Giants were lucky that game even went to the 9th inning tied. It was tough in the 5th. They had to bail out in the 6th. They had to pull tricks out in the 7th. They should have lost in the 8th. And then, of course, it came through on the 9th. We got to remember, Walker comes in with a guy at 3rd, and he hits the guy. Tell you the truth, if what's him gets out of the way, that's a wild pitch. And the run comes in, and the game's over.
You can only pull the magic trick so many times. Eventually,
this team is nothing.
You're going to get bit.
Put a fork in them. It's done. I'm glad tomorrow's a day game, so I don't have to see highlights tomorrow. Verlander, I don't know what they're going to do because we have no bullpen left. Verlander's hopefully going to go 6. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're hoping pitchers go 4 or 5 innings. Nobody else in Major League has to go through this crap. No other fans. We're hoping he can go 4 innings. I mean, we're 11 games left, and we got to have a Beck start. Beck, come on. This organization is sad. It's pathetic.
How do you feel, Lou?
I look at Robert saying, well, why do we have so much negative with only 3 starting pitchers? Robert, every year you made 6 predictions. Like usual, you're 0 for 6. So I didn't even want to talk. We have the best pitching staff. Oh, these guys are going to come around. The second half, they're going to start hitting. Robert, look where we are. By the way, Robert, you're going to be like the Giants. September 30th, you'll be on the golf course. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. They are not in a position. They don't have the depth in the rotation. Yes, Roop got hurt, so you're out him, and Birdsong imploded on himself, and he's out. So that has opened up the need for more starting pitching, but these guys they have to fill in the holes are just not good enough. So that the depth isn't there.
Players.
And here you are in September, the middle of September. You were tied for the wild card a couple of days ago, and your two aces couldn't get it done because they're hitting their innings pitched or high, whatever the reason. Maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it's just not clutch. I don't know what the reason is, but they couldn't get it done. And now we're left 2 days in a row with unproven, untested people. And we were lucky enough to get a couple innings out of Highway Tank last night, but tonight it's just the bottom of the barrel. Like you said, McDonald would have been here already if he was halfway decent, and the fact that he's the only guy they have other than Mason Black who's got a 7 earned run average.
Yeah, Mason stinks.
They don't have anybody else to eat innings.
Yep.
So they need to their pitching depth is an issue. You have to be able to, because people will get hurt. You have to be able to be in a position to where you can withstand some injuries, because you had an ideal situation here to make the playoffs. You were there. You could have done it. And you don't have the tools to get it done.
Yep. I want to bring up a point tonight that was brought up earlier today. I want to talk about this Bryce Eldridge thing. It was something that I was going to respond to on Twitter and decided to hold back. But here's the tweet from JT Snow that was deleted shortly after he put it up. Bryce is not in the lineup tonight. What the? He can hit lefties. I saw him rake lefties in sack. Come on, let him play. Time to stop coddling players. No reason to watch tonight. Bummed. And let me tell you a little bit about Bryce Eldridge numbers. He hit 270 down in Sacramento this year against lefties with a 824 OPS. All right. Here's what is of interest, or I want to point out to you guys what's going on. When the Giants pull this stunt, okay, when you do this, what you are doing is telegraphing to the rest of the league that you don't believe in your number one prospect enough to start him. And you know what that means? That means his value drops a little bit, because and I don't know if this was a Melvin situation. Yeah, he did start Wilmer, and Wilmer got a home run, so it paid off. But you got to bring him up in the situation when it's a tie game, and he's a guy that is a threat. Hey, look, he hit off a lefty last night all the way to the wall. Was it not off a lefty? I got the video right here. Let's take a look. I thought that was a lefty last night when Bryce hit that ball to the wall. Let me see. No, I take it back. It was a righty. Okay, I'm looking at it. But look, are we still, like Dom Peralta says, smells like a Zach Manai? Is Farhan still in the building? Has the stench of Farhan not left the building completely, where you're going to be afraid to put up a lefty, then why is Jung-Hoo Lee in there? My question is, if Jung-Hoo Lee, what's he doing in there?
Grounding out to second base.
Yeah, why not put in Eldridge, at least pinch hit him? Don't sit a guy that has the kind of raw power that this kid has, and you can't find a spot. I mean, perfect spot. And then Kinzer comes out of the game shortly after, and they bring in Bailey. What are you doing? I don't get it. I don't get it.
They had a golden opportunity, and the only reason he didn't was because there was a fear they might bring in the left-hander.
Then send him to Sacramento, please. Don't bring him up to the major leagues if you can't put the guy up against a lefty. All you're doing is saying, one, Bryce, I don't think you can cut it. Two, to the rest of baseball, he ain't that.
Yeah. Well, now I don't. At this point, maybe tomorrow he'll play, he'll DH or whatever. But if they don't get it done tomorrow, then you might as well just play him every game the rest of the year, because what's the matter?
Jeez, I don't know. I'd rather see him switch hit than Bailey switch hit, and I don't think he's ever attempted it.
That's pretty funny.
I don't know, guys. To me, I don't want to see. Yeah, Dan Wilmer did good. Crying about Eldridge not playing is pointless, says MF. Why is it pointless when you have an opportunity to pinch hit for him in a tie game and you bring up some catcher who's not going to be on the team next year and is lucky to be on the team right now? In fact, they barely play him because he can't hit. Look, if I've got I don't know, if I've got a certain tool in my bag and I got a tool that will actually help me get out of a possible problem, I'm not going to use the tool that I know that doesn't work. I'm not going to sit there and try this tool and go, well, just maybe this Phillips will fit this flathead screw. It might just work this time. No, if you've got the tool in your bag and it's a situation that needs addressed, use the dang tool. I mean, you know what? I got over him not starting tonight because there's a couple schools of thought on it. One is he's so young and raw, he might get just completely fooled, and you're trying to win the game and stay in the hunt, and Wilmer did come through. Fine. Okay, good with that. But bring him up when you got a stinking flathead and you need a Phillips screwdriver, okay? Just bring him up, and who cares if he strikes out, because he's not going to do anything worse than what Kinzer would do, and there's a heck of a lot bigger odds that he might do something big.
Absolutely. I don't understand it. Disappointing. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like this was going to be a win early in the game. They obviously got off to start. Even when they came back and tied it and it was 5-5 all the way through, I still felt pretty good. Like, they're going to get the offense going. They're going to get some runs on the board, but they couldn't do it. And then the bullpen just kept getting into jam after jam after jam. And it was like a matter of time before they can't do it. So really, really disappointing one.
Is this, I was thinking of MF the other day. Just yesterday, I was driving down the freeway. I haven't heard of MF, the guy that has been an original in the Krug Show and an original on NorCal Sports Network, was in the Fantasy Football League in the Krug Show. Is this the same MF? I don't know. A Putz. Is that you, MF? Mike Ford? Is that you? let me know. I was just thinking of you yesterday. If it is you, I'm like, I haven't seen MF in a long, long time. I was hoping he's okay. Hopefully that's the MF. We'll see. Let us know, MF. A putz. How is that? He's presented MF a pazza, maybe. All right. Now you got one more with Arizona tomorrow, and then you got 4 with LA. This could be an over. I'm sniffing a 1-6 road trip.
I mean, he still got Verlander tomorrow, which at the beginning of the year we would have not felt good, but now he's the only pitcher that you can feel good about. 1 out of 5.
You know where I'm sniffing? I'm sniffing they get swept tomorrow and they win 1 game in LA. And
it's possible.
That would suck.
It's possible when you can't hit.
I need him to win at least 3 on this trip. I need to win my bet at this point, which is 80 wins.
You know, this team has so many times this year that we've been all excited, a hot start, and then we go through the cold spells, and it's terrible. And then they get hot, and we're all excited and happy, and they all these big time moments, and then they go cold for weeks at a time, and then they get hot again, and everything's good. We're gonna make the playoffs, and now we're down again. We're out of it. Now they need to go give us one more glimmer of hope before they dash all of our, before it's over.
Yeah. But maybe Brad, who
somehow do it,
met on August 27th at against the Cubs. Bub Brad says Giants will be 6 games back by the end of the day this Sunday. Oh, it's possible. Yeah. Hey, and Roy Hobbs, rest in peace to Roy Hobbs, who passed away today. Robert Redford at the age of, I believe, was it 89?
Yes.
89. Man, he was my parents' favorite actor. Robert Redford, Redford, and
3 of the biggest films of all time.
Yeah, Robert Redford and Paul Newman were my parents' favorite actors.
The Sting together.
Yeah, The Sting. Yep.
Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
What
a
that's
legend!
The one I dust off tonight. I dust off Butch Cassidy. Watch that one. I think that's what the game plan is.
I loved him in The Natural. Yeah. Anyway, rest in peace to Robert Redford. Thank you, Philip, for bringing that to our attention. Meant to bring that up and got sidetracked, so thank you. Yeah, if you guys are in that chat, would you please do us a favor and hit that like button? It really does help the algorithm. So smash that like button, give it a like. It pushes it out to more people. Our subs are growing. We're over 5,500 subs. I think our sub count, I'll give you an update. YouTube Studio, let's see where we're at. We are at 5,516 subs. So thank you to all you out there who have subscribed. Yeah, tonight
37 likes, 144 watching. So
why
that
did
number
I put
should
Chapman
go
Law
up.
Group up there? How did that
should be able to get to
there we go.
65 at least. 65.
Where we're at right now, likes?
37.
Oh, yeah, 65. Come on. There we go. Go ahead, hit that like button. Just hit that little X if you're watching on the phone, and then it pops up the like, and then you can hit it, and you'll be right back in. Yeah, this was 4-0, and you got Tristan Beck, Lou's friend from Tommy's, and Beck gives up a run to make it 4-1, and that was that run. Let me see. I'll pull that up here. By the way, the Phillies and the Dodgers, if anybody cares, it's bottom of the 9th. The Phillies are leading 9-6. Doggone it. That's going to bring in Duran again. Doggone it.
Ohtani had no hits through 5. He pitched 5, did not give up a hit. And then they brought in somebody else and who immediately gave up 6 runs.
Guy gets so lucky, I tell you. So lucky. Jeez. All right. Going back to the box scores here. I don't care if the Phillies win. Just go into the 9th with a 4-run lead, not 3 runs or less, please. I had Duran last year. The guy sucked. Now he gets straight to the Phillies and he does lights out. Okay, so 4-0, and then Beck gives up 3 in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Did you guys feel right there after that home run that this was probably going to be a game that ended up in the win column for the D-backs, or did you feel confident the Giants would hold on?
I didn't feel good, but then when he got at the double play and got out of the inning, then I thought, okay, we're only down by a run. The bats are working, and I thought we're okay. And then the bats didn't show up anymore.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, 2 bonehead plays tonight at first base. Flores and Schmidt both missed the bag. Wow. I don't know. This is a 500 team again. Probably ends up
a game under now.
Yeah, probably ends up at 80-82 or 81-81. They need to win 5 games to get to 80. They've got the Cardinals and Rockies at home for the final 6 games. There's 4 or 5 winnable games that get you, 79-80, and you hope you can get 1 or 2 on this rest of this road trip. I mean, if you're a professional, you got to go in and thinking, on any given day we can get hot. And, I saw the Giants in 82 go into LA at the end of the year and sweep them. 4-game series, 3-game or 4-game. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4, but then I saw them do the same thing, but they had Barry Bonds, but that was in the 90s. That might've been that 93 season where they swept them. But, the odds are much more in favor of the Dodgers sweeping the Giants than the Giants winning even 2 games in this series. I would think. I don't know.
It all depends on the pitching. It depends on who shows up, which Webb and Ray show up.
Schmidt play was not bonehead neither. It was scared. What is he saying? It was scared chicken head with season on the line. I'm not sure what he means. Did we ever hear from MF if that was the MF or is this a different MF? I don't know what we're saying here. I'm looking at the chat here. I can't quite make out some of your guys. Can I get Casey Schmidt on so you can ask him a question? Casey will not come on during the season, but I'll have him on in the off season. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, Lou, you're sitting there thinking, what's going through your mind with this team?
I thought tonight the Giants lost because they didn't do the 2 basic plays on bunts. I don't understand. But first of all, the first one was an error. When you have a reliever, when there's a bunt in front of the plate, the catcher always calls the pitcher off because the pitcher literally is doing 2 things. He's pitching then he's running to the ball, and then he's got to turn around and throw, something he's not used to doing. It happened twice tonight, including in the ninth inning with Walker, which should have never have happened. That's, you have a catcher who doesn't play all the time, didn't know what he should have done, but that's no excuse for Bailey, especially since it happened early. You saw a prime example where our coaches of the Giants are the shits. They don't teach basic fundamentals. We have Melvin, who doesn't know what he's doing with the bullpen. We still have problems running bases. We can't, you're not going to win when you do basics when you have a very basic team. As Dan pointed out early in the season, Giants are going to win 60. They're going to lose another 60. Okay. The other 70 determines if you're a playoff team or if you're going golfing like Robert Rothberg on September 28th. These Giants, and nobody's talking about where the hell is Adames, our highest paid player, struck out 3 times last night. Struck out 3 times last night. He went 0 for 3 again today. Where is this guy? These are the biggest games of the year, and the guy's what? Got his head up his ass and doesn't want to perform? Embarrassment there. But I got really upset that twice the same bunt happened. And our pitcher, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, you can't really blame Schmidt because Schmidt's probably done that play maybe 3 times all season where there's a bunt and he's got to cover first base. Okay, so I'm going to give him the break on that. But if you got to remember, it wasn't the greatest throw. The throw wasn't on the bag. It was close to the second. Schmidt did the best he could. That's, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But why was the pitcher picking it up? And what happened is Chapman went to third, figuring, the bunt was going to be there. So you had Flores, and you had the pitcher, and you had the catcher. Flores, who can't be any slower. You got a pitcher who basically has already hit a guy earlier, picks it up, and then you have a catcher. I mean, who do you want to pick up the ball? 99% of the time, the catcher should get it. That's Bailey's play, and he didn't play it. And, that caused the problem. Before you knew it, boom, it was bases loaded. And the other thing, too.
Same issue earlier in the game on a bunt.
Where the pitcher picked up, and he threw it down the line.
And that was Kinzer's ball, the announcers in the Arizona, because they said that's got to be the catcher. You can't make that the catcher. And Kinzer needed to call him off. He was on it. He just,
that's
I got it.
Baseball. That's basic baseball. Yeah. And
shouldn't even get to that situation though. Like the bases loaded with no outs. Yeah,
twice
I know,
in one game. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
In the situation at the end of the game, you're just set up for failure. Something's going to happen there. I mean, what's the chances of getting out of that? Three on, nobody out. It's like 10% chance of getting out of it.
I'm just talking about the bunt that led to that, which coming up.
Okay.
Then here's the other thing: bases are loaded, nobody out. This is where we brought this up before, where our bench coach, I don't know where he is, but you have the fastest runner for Arizona on third base, Carroll. You got to have everybody in. If you watch that play that gets past the pitcher, those outfielders were so far back, they had no chance to throw anybody out with Carroll. No clue. That's horrible coaching. Second of all, they got to play infield in. They got to be on the grass, not on the dirt, because if the ball gets by him, the game's over. If they don't get the ball and make a good play, the game's over. You got to do whatever it takes. I'm going to tell you something. I heard something tonight because I had 2 TVs going because I wanted to watch MLB Network. And they had, who's the former Giant that's now on MLB, and he has to wear his contacts. So when the Giants won it, he ran out. The pitcher we got from Boston.
Jake Peavy.
Peavy brought up a great point, and I've been saying this, and we've criticized Melvin. I'm going to criticize him again. So today, Texas realized how big the game was today against Houston. They were down 5-2. They got it to 5-4. Here's the problem with Melvin compared to the Hall of Famer. Bochy used every single position player possible to get the win in 9 innings. And Peavy said, Bochy, his job is to get him to the 10th inning tied, but you got to do whatever it takes to win. You'll worry about the 10th inning when it happens. But if you have a chance to win in the 8th and 9th inning, you got to throw all your chips in. Now, Melvin would never, ever do that. And the one thing about Melvin is he still coaches like it's 2014 with the Oakland A's. You know, it's so different nowadays. You know, baseball is different. He is still behind the times. I do not want him back at all. You know, when they bring my questionnaire about being a season ticket holder, I'm going to say the worst thing is bringing back Melvin. I don't care about the other players, but Melvin is not a winner. I don't know why we keep thinking he's some great manager. The guy's never won a playoff series. Okay. I know he's got a lot of wins, but he's been managing for 12 years. You know, I don't think anybody other team would want him. You know, I mean, I'm not happy with him. He's from he's from the Farhan thing. The other thing is we keep blaming Farhan. We got to blame the guys who have been in charge. Okay. You got to blame what this organization, at the All-Star break, we traded 2 of our pitchers. I didn't want those guys back. I never liked Duvall. When he had me kicked out because the guy couldn't hold a 4-run lead, I never liked him. You know, and it's one of these things where the Giants are where they are and they deserve it. Okay. They deserve it. We're not a playoff team. We don't deserve to be a playoff team. I've never seen a team with more tease jobs than, you know, some girls you might meet when you're 14, 15. This team isn't a playoff team. If we made the playoffs, we'd be eliminated instantly. Our bullpen's a disgrace. I think Melvin's a disgrace. And, you know, tomorrow's a day game and I'll watch it. But I predicted this, that it doesn't matter on, you know, us and the Dodgers. We assume too much. You know, Marty Lurie says the same thing. Oh, if we can stay close, we have 3 against St. Louis and 3 against the Cardinals. He's already assuming we're going to win those games. This is the San Francisco Giants, where we have 1 pitcher. A month ago, we had 2.5. We're down to 1. Verlander tomorrow. I don't have faith in anyone. We have no bullpen. We have nobody that can hit in the clutch. But we assume we're going to beat a team because they're playing at home? Come on, guys. This team's done. It's over.
All right, there we go. I'll show you the last play here on my phone because I'll turn the volume down. The infield was in on this. They just hold on here. The infield was in, but what happened was Walker missed the ball. Walker missed that ball. Let me show you again. It went right off of his glove.
I still think Schmidt was playing too deep. He would have never got him.
No, Schmidt was playing. They had him positioned in up the middle versus
why is he up the middle? For a double play? That doesn't matter because there is no double play because the game's over?
I think they're thinking if it's going to be a grounder more up the middle, and that they got both Adames and you can see it here again. They've got I noticed last night when I was at the game, they've got Schmidt positioned when he's playing regular depth second base way over the middle. They don't play second base anymore like they used to play second and short. Everybody's, because of this doggone shift that they would do that's been banned, they play them as close to the shift that they can get. And so if a right-handed batter is up, they're playing Schmidt practically even with second base bag. He's just a half a step, on the first base side of it. And that's why you see second basemen go into the shortstop position and get ground balls at times. And nobody plays second base.
Yeah.
Second base is halfway between first and second base. And you're
right. But that's why there's such a huge advantage if you can go the other way as a right-handed hitter.
Yeah.
And no one does it. Everyone's so pull happy.
Everyone talks about Schmidt missing first base. How about compliment him on a great play to save the Giants in the 8th? where they had
the
first
eighth,
and third. I mean, that was a great play by Schmidt. All you guys do is look at the negative. Oh, he didn't have his foot down. But that's okay, chat. But you guys got to remember, it's 9 innings. The Giants were lucky to even be still tied in the ninth. I mean, this is now 2 games in less than a week where you've led either 4-0 and 4-1, and you can't hold it. 1 at home, 1 on the road. And, Dan, you were talking, hey, how do you feel? I never thought the Giants were going to win. When they were up 4-0 at that ballpark, you got to keep adding on. It's not Coors Field, but it's still the same. It was one of those things. And the other thing is Beck gave up those 3. And, Dallas, as you said, if it wasn't for a big double play, it would have been worse.
Yeah.
And
but early in the year, when they had a 4-run lead, it would hold. When they had the best bullpen in baseball, the first half of the year, I think statistically it was the best, or at least top 3. They were very good. This is not the same bullpen.
Yeah. And I'd love to see where we are now for pitching, because Robert Rothberg, who's no longer on the chat, said, oh, we have the greatest bullpen. We have, our hitting will come
where's
along.
Giovanni? Where's Giovanni? The dude never shows up except when they win. It's kind of that's why the Giants continue to hand out dumb gate prizes and giveaways, because the casuals will keep showing up when they're losing, they just drop the prices. So it looks like no Red Java House is going to be on, because I don't think anybody's going to feel like going to see a meaningless game on Saturday. So Philip says, Lou, you're the most negative person on the chat. That's why we love you.
Just try to be real. Try to be real.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many times have we seen Ryan Walker blast a guy right in the back or the butt? I mean,
was it the first pitch or second pitch?
First.
Yeah, I was watching a different channel. Yeah, first pitch. It's ridiculous. And he's all we got. He's all we got.
Well, luckily, he probably won't pitch tomorrow for Verlander's sake.
But let's remember who we're going against. His last 3 starts at home. He's a much different pitcher at home. He is 3-0 with an ERA of like 1.2. So he's been solid. So let's just, because Verlander's pitching, Giants going to have to score at least 3 or 4 runs. So,
yeah.
It's Arizona. Why can't they score 6-7 runs?
It's because of the Giants. Look at our lineup. Tell Adames to get his head out of his ass and actually contribute here. Where has he been? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Wow. Seeing more and more stuff on.
And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw, I mean, just look at the difference in the bullpens tonight. Their starters struggled. He went 5, and then their
bullpen's usually not that great, though, which is weird.
Well, look at the lineup they're going up against. They give up no hits. No hits.
Yeah.
4 different relievers didn't give up a hit. That's why they won. So
yeah,
get the broom out.
It's going to be tough tomorrow. It's going to be tough because the only positive is that it is a day game and maybe the fans don't show up as much. I don't know what it's like here in Arizona as far as day games. After, maybe people will show up, but the Diamondbacks are feeling good. And anytime you can win on a walk-off like that, that rejuvenates the clubhouse, and it could put the Diamondbacks. I mean, they're feeling pretty good. They put a bubblegum little bucket over Jordan Lawler's head. Hey, look, they are feeling like they can catch the Mets. They are only 2 back, and they don't have to worry about the tiebreaker situation like the Giants, who are 4 back. So the Diamondbacks, if they tie with the New York Mets. They had played 6 games this year, and they had a 3-3 record. So what happens is you go to the intra division. So that means games within your division. Cincinnati is 18-23 in the Central Division, and they lost tonight to the Cardinals. And the Diamondbacks are 25-20 against the West. So they tie. They get it. Now the Diamondbacks have a killer schedule, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen the Diamondbacks schedule, but they have, after they play the Giants, let's see, where are we at here? Full schedule. Let's take a look. Okay. So after they finish with the Giants, they got the Phillies coming into town for 3. Then they got the Dodgers coming in for 3, and then they go to San Diego for 3. So 9 tough games they have, and that is a gauntlet of a schedule facing 3 of the top teams in the National League. So,
but you also got to remember, possibly the Padres might have already clinched the wild card and can't catch the Dodgers. So they might get a couple freebies. Philly, they won. It's one of those things. You got teams now that are concerned about, Philly just clinched today. They came back and won today because the Dodgers are thinking long-term in the playoffs. That's why Ohtani, he only pitched 72 pitches. He could have pitched another inning, but they're thinking long-term. So,
yeah, the Padres lost to the Mets tonight. So they trail the Dodgers by 2, but 3 because of the Dodgers hold the tiebreaker. So the Padres are 5.5 up on the Diamondbacks, so likely not to be caught by the Diamondbacks. So those last 3, maybe I would imagine the Padres, if they don't have here's what's going to happen. You're right, Lou. If the Padres have the division or the Dodgers have the division, the Padres are going to, and their position is not going to change. Like right now, the Padres are behind the Cubs by 5 games. Okay. So they're not going to catch, if they're not going to catch the Cubs to get the first wild card, and they're locked into that second wild card and they're going to go to Chicago, all they're going to be concerned about against the Diamondbacks is setting up their rotation, trying to figure out how, because they're not getting a bye, so they got to play Tuesday. The season ends Sunday. So Tuesday, these teams are going to be, and it doesn't just start in that last series. They're looking at things realistically from Monday on next week. And they're mapping their whole plan out, and they're going to have their best starter go that first game in Chicago. And the Dodgers, if they've got it wrapped up, they're going to be setting up their lineup to face the Mets or the Diamondbacks or whoever they're going to face. And the one thing about the Phillies, though, the Phillies are 92-50, or the Phillies are 91-61. The Brewers are 92-59. So they are trying to, catch them, and they're 2 behind. I don't know what their season series is, so I don't have time to look that up, but that might come into play for home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs. And it looks like, to me, the Cubs are, like I said, they've got a 5-game cushion over San Diego, so they're probably set. They've got to play the Mets as well. So this isn't looking very favorable for the Giants right now, because But I don't know how the Padres with that. That's still a tough 9-game stretch to end the season. Phillies, Dodgers, Padres. But probably the easiest of that is going to be the Padres because they're not going to be playing for much, is my guess, those last 3. So we'll see how this ends up. But the Giants are an MF. A Pazza says, and I agree with him here, as long as Posey is there with his failed signing of Adames and Chapman, this team is doomed for years to come unless Posey wakes up. Here's the issue that I find with Chapman and Adames is they're too much the same type of hitter. And so you have that issue where they strike out a lot. Remember, 162 is a long season. Let's not look just at what these guys did the last week or two and say, hey, they look really good. These guys over a course of 162 are who they are, and that's a lot of strikeouts in a lot of key situations. I don't know what this team's how they improve next year. They have no pitching. This is why, okay, and you can say, well, Dan, why would you trade Webb if you have no pitching? Because it's time to really look at doing a complete rebuild of your pitching staff. You might be able to get 2 or 3 pitchers that provide you more production than what Webb does by himself, because you have no depth. You have no depth. Why not try to get 2 or 3 starters that are, maybe you can get somebody's number 3 and their number 4 and 5 thinking, hey, we got a 1 with Webb, and you get somebody's 3 who could be, and then you got to go figure out how to get a 1. If you lose a 1, you got to go replace it through free agency. But you need 10.
You're not going to replace a 1. The problem with replacing a 1 is that it's much more expensive to sign a 1 than it is to keep Logan Webb. Logan Webb's on a very team-friendly deal.
He is, but is he a 1? Is he a 1, though?
I'd say so. I'd say anybody in baseball would consider him. I mean, he's one of the top 5 pitchers in the National League. I don't think anyone will argue that. He's leading the league in strikeouts and innings pitched, and he's got a good ERA. He had a couple bad games. A lot of pitchers have bad games, but Webb's not the problem. But you're right; they need to sign starters. Go out and just open up the checkbook. You got plenty of money. Pitching depth should not be your problem. Okay, so Webb is not the issue, and I get that. But where this is, and I know the Webb fans, and I know you're. And I'm a Webb fan, but I'm also more of a Giants fan and trying to correct this issue. Where are you going with Webb? What do you mean? They're just a 500 team. Every time he's been here since 21, he had a good year. He's not the problem. I know he's not the problem, but he's your best asset. How do you get back? They're not going anywhere with Webb. Is what I'm trying to say, is they are a 500 team with Logan Webb. But if you add 2 more pitchers to Logan Webb, then maybe you do go somewhere. It's not Logan Webb that's your problem. It's the other 4.
What do you mean? Our number 2 starter is an all-star. He's an all-star. That's what KMBR and these idiots like Susan, who's the biggest homer in the world. I have to turn KMBR when she's on. He's an all-star. Who cares if you were an all-star? It's what you've done throughout the year. I think the Giants, if you're going to be realistic, get rid of the whole goddamn outfield and redo the whole entire bullpen and get 2 more starters. That's how bad this team is. When you look at it, we have way too many 4A players, guys that we think are good, but they're not good. Dan was right about Schmidt. He said, let's get Matos. Matos isn't going to make it. We're not going to bring him up next year. It's not the same thing, so you got to get rid of him. We got to get rid of these crumbs. Get rid of these guys. We've had them way too long. I'd rather do something drastic and give me guys that maybe have a high ceiling instead of these guys that are just average at best. Look at the guys that pitched tonight. Okay,
you do need more high ceiling players. The Giants drafted with a guy with a low ceiling and a high floor, in my opinion. They drafted safely rather than went for the catcher, Ike, whatever his name was. I forgot his last name. He was a catcher for Auburn University, led the nation like in home runs, big masher. And they went for a contact hitting second baseman, which is fine, or a shortstop, but he'll be a second baseman. But he's not going to be he's not going to be like Ketel Marte. Yeah, he's not going to be a difference maker. You need some difference makers on this team, and you need to find a guy that a lot of people comparing this guy power to like a Cal Raleigh as a catcher, and we'll see. They didn't draft him, so
Hey, Dan. One thing, you guys. First of all, I don't listen to KMBR much. I was in a car that only had FM, and I wanted to listen to 104.5. But I did want to say something positive today. If you guys are a sports fan at all, I know there's a lot of people in the chat that are Niner fans. Majority are Giants fans. But Greg Papa came back on the air today.
Oh, that's right.
And it was very emotional. He's been going through chemo. His brother was a match. He's a grown man, very successful, comes from a great family. If you guys don't know his story, my God, I think he was 19 or 20 when he did the Warriors originally. Papa is a great guy, went through a real tough time, and it was good to hear his voice back again. Very emotional.
Absolutely.
But, what I did when I heard him, I thought of Larry Krueger because I know how close he is with the Niners. I wrote Larry, hey, it's great to hear your guy on. But, KMBR, the commercial leader, isn't a great station anymore. But I thought bringing back Papa today, and, he misses the 49ers. He's the voice locally. He's sort of our Bill King, and Lon Simmons. He was the Raiders announcer, but you still loved him because his
Giants,
the
Warriors.
A's, everything. So, a local guy, and I text Greg, hey, great hearing you, go Qs, because he, came from Syracuse. But, I did want to say something positive, and hearing him today, was good. And, he cried right when he came on because he didn't think he would survive. So it's, a good thing. So I wanted to bring that up before we forget. I know we talked about, Robert Redford, but Greg Papa being a local and one of our guys, I think that's important.
There we go.
Great
Greg
show today.
Papa,
I enjoyed that.
Touchdown, San Francisco. Yes, I remember him with the Raiders. It was always touchdown Raiders. Yeah, I remember him, like you said, Lou, when he came up as the Warriors broadcaster. He was fantastic to listen to. And then, of course, he did a little – didn't he do a little A's baseball too?
A's,
Yeah.
A's, Giants, Raiders, Niners, Warriors.
Yeah.
No Sharks.
Greg Papa. So welcome back. Get well. Prayers up for Greg Papa. I'm seeing a lot of chat in here about Logan Webb. Let's see about some of those comments. I didn't want to get to those. Mark Graves said he's not the solution either. He may not be the problem. He's not the solution. NorCal Sports Talk Live says Webb is a number 3 starter at best going forward. Bub Rab says Logan Webb is a number 3 or 4. He's only an asset because his contract favors the club so much. I think he's probably a legitimate number 2 on a really good team. Like, I don't think he'd be the Phillies' number 1 starter. He might be the Phillies' number 3 behind. Well, if you put him on the Phillies before Wheeler got hurt, you would say Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez, and then Webb. So he would be like a 4 starter in that Phillies rotation. You could maybe argue he might be a little bit ahead of Suarez as a 3, but not much. So on the Dodgers,
he's only 3 strikeouts behind Paul Skeens to leading the National League in strikeouts.
Correct, but
and he's 1 inning behind Christopher Sanchez in innings pitched. And
let me ask you this: if you had a healthy, well, that's the problem. The Dodgers pitchers aren't healthy enough, and Webb has been. That's his greatest asset, is his availability. His greatest asset is availability, his ability to go deep into games, 6-7 innings, keeps you in most games. And no one's going to knock Logan Webb here. But Webb, MF says Webb is the best.
Calling him a number 3 or a 4 starter, that's just that's not accurate. You know, you put him on any team, he's not going to be a number 3
he's
or
the Giants.
number 4.
He's the Giants ace. He's for sure the Giants ace.
I'm saying you put him on any other team, he's going to be a number 2 at minimum.
All right.
Who else has 2 better pitchers than Logan Webb?
Phillies, Dodgers. Just in the National League, Phillies, Dodgers, Braves when Sale and Strider are healthy. I don't know who Milwaukee's guy is. They've got Peralta. Reds have Hunter Green.
Here's the thing. We talk about Webb. Last year in his starts, they had a losing record. The year before that, they were 1 game under 500. So, he might be an ace for us, but if the team isn't winning when he starts, that's a problem.
The team sucked.
Well, sorry, his best year, he was under 500, and he had a good ERA. When he was second in the Cy Young, he had a losing record.
Losing record isn't as big of a deal anymore because teams, it's just a weird how you don't score any runs. You can give up 1 run and lose, especially with the Giants. But here's what I'll say about Webb. And I was talking to Marty Lurie last night. I was sitting with him at the ball game, and we were talking about Robbie Ray. And I said, Ray just looks tired to me. He looks like he's wiped out. He didn't pitch at all in the 23 season, but 1 start. And then he pitches in the comes back in the middle of 24, and then it's shortened season because gets injured. So he pitched barely for 2 years, and now he's out there trying to go almost 200 innings, right? And if you look at his last 5 starts, he can't get through the 5th inning. And if you look at the pitches he's throwing, they're all high. And what that tells me is he's tired and he's not following through. And so he's tired and he's just throwing the ball instead of pitching, and the ball's sailing arm side high constantly. But here's where I harp on the Logan Webb thing. He is the Giants' best pitcher, and he's signed to a good contract. And what I think the Giants need to do is pick a lane. And whatever they are doing,
the lane has been picked.
And it's not working, and it's not going to work. And they're going to settle for a 500 team year after year after year because they have some good, decent players. I mean, they have a really good player, an all-star in Devers. They have good players in Chapman and Adames. The rest of and you can maybe put Ramos in that good category as well. But, and I'm talking offensively right now. I'm not talking, okay. But Lee could be good. He looks like he's got potential. Schmidt's got some potential. I don't see any potential in right field. First base looks like it's Devers, Eldridge. Catcher's a problem. Pitching's a huge problem. So how do you, if your best assets are Webb and Eldridge, you have to see, I think moving off of Webb brings you, if you can get two very reliable starting pitchers for him and maybe a third arm that is high up in a farm system, you might be better off, because in 2 years, Webb is a free agent, right? After the 27, or is it after the 28 season? I think it might be after the 28 season. I think you have him for 3 years. I would rather trade a pitcher who's got a lot of mileage on him a little too early than a little too late. Because if Webb has an injury, that's 2 years he's gone. If he has a Tommy John, he's already had one. Hopefully he's not going to have that issue. He probably used to throw a lot harder when he had Tommy John, is my guess, than he does now. But my concern is, are the Giants ready to compete, to really be a true 90-win team, not trying to get to 500 with the last week of the season? This is where they've been for 4 years now, 22, 23, 24, 25, trying to get to 500 in the last 10 games of the season. And I mean, at what point do you say, we got to do something different? This isn't working. I mean, the one common denominator since 22 is Logan Webb has been on the team, on all 4 teams. He's been on all 4 teams. And I'm not saying he's the problem. Please don't take this wrong. He's not the problem, okay, everybody?
Sounds like you're saying that.
No, I'm saying he's got value and he's not doing anything for the Giants, so why not get real value back for him? The longer
he's winning 14
but
games
they're not,
and keeping them in every game.
But they're not winning.
They're winning some games. Yeah, they're winning half of them. They need to
Paul
go from
Skeens
80 to 95, right? You got to find a way to win 15 more games.
Yeah. Paul Skeens is going to be more valuable as a trade asset to the Pirates than he will be to the Pirates.
Well, of course, because they're the Pirates. They don't want to pay him.
Well, and they're not going to win with him.
They're not going to win at all.
Right, and the Giants aren't going to win at all.
Well, if the Giants sign some more pitchers, then they could have a chance to win. No?
But they went and signed Chapman and Adames to too big of contracts.
I'm not saying that those were signing both of those players. One of them, I think, is the mistake.
And I agree with this wholeheartedly. If you got rid of Chapman, you don't need to move off of Webb, because then you can replace Chapman and you have money to go out and get some top-line pitching.
How do you get rid of Chapman, though?
That's the problem. I don't think you can. 2 reasons.
I'm all in favor of that. If they can get rid of Chapman, put Schmidt at third base, and then sign a shortstop or a second baseman, or, and then move Adames to second base if you have to, that's what I think they should do. But they're not going to, I don't know if they're going to find somebody to take Chapman.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a comment in here from Beto. It's almost like some Giants fans can't take Webb criticism without being offended. Senior says, I agree. Oops. Hold on. Beto says, I think if you trade Chapman, if you get creative like Dan has mentioned in the past, yeah, you're going to have to trade Chapman. You're going to have to, 1, he's going to have to get him to waive the no trade clause. 2, you might have to entice him with a bonus. And 3, you're going to have to pay a big chunk of the contract to the team that's taking him on, because he signed through age 37. Who wants a third baseman that's struggling hitting 240 now at 37 32, I think he is. Or is he 33 this year? And I think he's 33. I'll look that up. And he's not going to get better. He's not going to get better. I have said all along this team is fundamentally flawed the way it has been put together. By the way, Matt Chapman is 32. Okay. So he's 33. He's got 5 years to go on the contract after this year. So he'll be 33, and then he'll be 34 with 4 years left, 35 with 3 years left, 36 with 2 years left, 37. Yeah, he'll finish the last year, 37. So I think the last 3 years of that contract you're going to eat anyway, because I don't think you're going to get much production the last 3 years. I think you've got 2 more years of the best of what you'll ever see of Matt Chapman. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to eat the last 3 years. Why not do something creative and eat it now? Why do you want a guy like Evan Longoria sitting around on your team going, got it. We got Evan Longoria. He's okay, but he's just not reliable.
Yeah, I think that would be. I would take some cojones, but I like that. I like that better than getting rid of Webb, because you get rid of Webb, you're saying you want to get a number 2, a number 3, and a number 4 starter, and then some young arm. You get 3 arms, but then you don't have a number 1 anymore. So then,
if you got rid of Chapman, I would be fine keeping Webb. But next year, if they go with Webb and they are 500 again, they'll be 2 years left, and they'll be going into the 27 season. They'll probably have some kind of work stoppage.
You can't go 500 again. I mean, they need to make some changes, which is change the manager, get a legitimate pitching staff. This year they went in trying to figure out what they had with Birdsong, with Roop, with Wisenhunt, with Harrison. You had all these young pitchers. Most of them have crapped out. You have a couple with potential, but now you know what you got and what you don't have, and you need to go and fill some holes. But you don't want to have to sign number 1 guys. You don't want to have to sign Corbin Burns for $30 million a season and then have him go on the IL and it just burn the money. You're better off just burning the money. So, look at number 3 starters and sign 2 or 3 of those guys.
Yeah. And, we don't always address social issues on here. It is a polarizing issue. And I did not see this start of this game Friday night. I was gone for the first half hour. So NorCal Sports Talk Live says, by the way, huge loss by the Giants for not doing a Charlie Kirk tribute before that Friday night game versus LA. It was also strikeout violence night, and they still didn't even bother. Smells like Larry Bear. I don't know. I don't know how many teams did do a shout out. I heard several did. I don't know if all of baseball did, but would have been a classy move for the organization to do it. I mean, it was very gruesome and brutal what we witnessed, and would have been just a gesture of a good gesture. That's all I'll say. So they had the flags at half mast, so they should have. Okay, yeah. Okay, Beto says I think most sports teams didn't do it, though, to be fair.
Everyone did it Saturday. All the college games. You got to remember where you're at. San Francisco is very liberal. It probably you would have had protesters if they did. Probably, you're in the city that is very, that's San Francisco. Not but I
Yeah,
think we can stop
I
it
get
there.
it. I get it. And I hear people that don't like politics, and they're not trying to be political here.
But
I've
if it
talked,
is, against violent night, you couldn't have had a better thing. You know
right.
what I mean? Earlier in the day, I mean, it's like you couldn't have had anything better. Here's a politician. He wasn't an elected official. He was just a gentleman that spoke his mind. You have a day for it. It happens early in the day, and they drop. Maybe they dropped the ball. Maybe they'll admit it later. Not a big problem. I know that other teams did it. Giants probably should have, especially since that was the theme of the night. So
Yeah.
Well,
So
they're dropping the
anyway,
ball a lot lately.
anyway,
as a team.
So we'll move on, but yeah. Let's see.
And Dan, one of the things I wanted to say is you pointed this out in June. Giants are really putting their eggs in one basket with Roop and Birdsong when they've never pitched that much in the previous years. And you might as well assume they're not going to be there the last month of the season. You were saying it, we kept bringing it up.
I said it before the
numerous times. So
yeah, I said it before the break, and it's the one thing I remember saying clearly at the break was hitting's not going to be the issue for the Giants in the second half. That's going to kill the team, even though they couldn't hit. It's going to be the pitching, and it's just very clear. The pitching, you only have so many bullets in the tank. I hate to use bullets. Sorry for that, but you only have so many innings in a guy's arm. And if you look at these guys' innings, you could see. And I don't see any. We'll see what the offseason looks like, okay? We'll see what the offseason looks like. It's going to take quite a bit. And I like this comment by Bub Rad. He's spot on with this. Giants playing 500 with Chapman and Adames and Devers and Bob Melvin with Buster at the helm has overall attendance up 10%. Giants don't need to win to get acceptable attendance levels. 500 works. Yep. And the question will be, they've got to play better baseball. They're just going to need better all-around players. And they're going to need to find some guys in the lineup that make more contact. It's as simple as that. The strikeouts killed this team this year. They were just an awful, team when it came to making contact when needed. It was nice to see. Didn't they have was it Chapman that got a sac fly tonight in the first inning? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, that's what you need to do more consistently. He hit the ball to right field. So that means anytime you hit the ball to right field, you're generally trying to go to right field. You're just going with the pitch. You're not trying to pull it. Where earlier in the season, constantly trying to pull a ball out of the park. That was the Giants' way. Did you notice how Arizona was down 5-3 and they had a leadoff man on and they bunted just to try and get that run across the plate to make it a one-run game? Because it was early in the game. Guys thinking long-term, hey, we could get these guys. If we can catch up to these guys, which I think we can because their bullpen sucks, we'll chip away and we'll win it late with our bats.
Yeah. When the Giants had pitching early in the year, that is a strategy that could have worked for them. They just needed a couple runs across to get a win. Now, they don't have the pitching, so it doesn't matter. They need to hit.
Yeah. Strikeouts is a problem, though, MF. Strikeouts and low averages. But when you're striking out, that's lowering your average.
They go hand in hand. Only 3 strikeouts tonight. That's surprising.
They have cut down on their strikeouts the last few games. Last night, wasn't it only, or maybe it was the other night. I can't remember.
The other
Last night was 10.
Yeah, last night because Adama struck out. That's right, 3 times.
And then 3 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Last night they had no attempts with runners in scoring position. There was no runners in scoring position last night. So kind of weird. This team is they just started out so hot and then just went silent. It was kind of a very strange game today, but
yeah,
you can't afford to have that.
Yeah. Look, guys, I've talked about this whole thing with Logan Webb. I am not an anti-Logan Webb guy at all. I think the reason I have mentioned trade him at times is because I think he's actually a great asset that brings back a lot of assets. See, I have a different philosophy than a lot of people do. And I see this, and I know some of you hate fantasy sports. I'm not going to bring up my team or anything, but let me just tell you, when I play fantasy sports and I see teams at the bottom of the league and they've got a star, and I try to trade for their star, oh no, I'm not giving up my star. I can't give up my star. Well, dude, you're going to finish in 10th place out of 12 with your star. Why don't you turn that star into more assets? Because you might be able to move up the standings. But they refuse to do it. I'm in a couple of leagues, and they're going to hang on to that guy. I'm not letting them go. And sometimes getting 2 or 3 players who are not quite as good as the star will give you more depth, and then that more depth will actually produce. That's what I'm trying to say with what the Giants need. The Giants have a problem, a huge problem with depth. They have 0 starting depth behind Webb, Ray, and Verlander. And Verlander, it's only been the last 6, 7 starts, right? Something like that, 5, 6, 7 starts. Prior to that, Verlander, we were like, get him off the team, right? He was killing us. But he's turned it around. But he's also 42, okay? So you can't count on that. You need depth. It's depth that, look, starting pitching is so critical. You've got to have probably a minimum of 8, and I would say 10 starters that you feel comfortable with saying, okay, if we got to go with this guy for 8 to 10 starts in the season, we're fine with him. So you've got to find guys that can fill the depth. You remember the 49ers when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over the team in 2017? They were awful. What did they do? They drafted and filled the depth of the team in 17 and 18 and 19. They were in the Super Bowl. Why? Because they got rid of all of the crap and they drafted and brought in a bunch of new people. It's a little harder to draft in baseball because they're not ready to play like they are in basketball and football. So what do you have to do? You have to use your farm system, and you need to use some of your assets to trade for more quality depth. And, it doesn't work all the time. It was awful for the Red Sox when they traded Betts to the Dodgers. They got depth, but they got crappy depth. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what kind of pitchers you're getting. That's why you got to find out and go get established stars. The Giants traded Matt Williams, and what did they get back? What were the 3 guys they got in that trade? It was Kent. Was it Vizcaino or was that another deal? Lou, do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was Vizcaino, and then they picked up Ellis Burks next year on free agency. Yeah, I'm just thinking how they got that one team. Yeah, I believe those 2, and then I think it was some.
Okay, they got Vizcaino and Julian Tavares.
Tavares, the pitcher,
Yeah, They got 3 players that help them, and Kent basically was pretty close to an even exchange pretty quickly with Williams, and then you got 2 other players. This is what Brian Sabian knew what he was doing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I just think you can get value for a Webb. You might even be able to get a Chris Sale and a couple of other guys from Atlanta. You might be able to pull that off because Chris Sale's an older pitcher, and you might be able to get a couple of young arms with Chris Sale. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's a discussion that is a good topic just to talk about because it's controversial and it brings a lot of energy and emotions, and people are really Webb may not be number 1, but doesn't mean we can't use him in a winning team. Hey, if you can get the right guys, if you can add pitching and add a couple of positions, I'm all for keeping Webb. But you're going to have to go spend money, and I just don't know if the team's willing to do that. We'll see. We'll see how much if they're willing to spend, and they can spend their way out of this problem with good, solid moves that don't put them. I'm not talking like 5-6 year deals for guys that are over 30. Reasonable deals, then maybe you're on the right track and you're putting your money where your mouth is and say you want to build a winning team. You want to put a winning team on the field. And if you can do that, then you'd probably be better off keeping Webb. But if you're not going to spend the money to go out and get the necessary tools you need, and you're going to run it back with what you have, then Webb's not going to do you any good other than bring you another 500 type season.
I don't think they can do that because they're spending all this money on these other free agents. You can't just waste those by not having a pitching staff. So you need to double down, and you need to go out there and get a pitching staff that can keep the team in the games, so that this offense, as streaky as it is, can get them on the board.
Now, see, this is interesting. Hiroku says they spend, but spend poorly. Eddie K says Webb has to go. You can't rely on him when he faces the big clubs. Get what you can. Yeah, he didn't look good against Toronto, and he didn't look good against the Dodgers. We'll see what Logan Webb does this week. I think he's going to pitch.
He had a great
Thursday.
Start against the Dodgers this year.
What's that?
He had a great start against the Dodgers this year.
Earlier, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Earlier, but then he had a rough start last week against the Dodgers. We'll see what he does. We'll see if we can bounce back. And it's interesting because it almost looks like he's afraid to throw the sinker against the Dodgers, because if it's up, they blast it. And if it's, what Webb's
sounded like after the game, he was having a disagreement with the powers that be on what to throw. And he needs to just take the bull by the horns. It's his stats. It's his ERA. It's his career,
Who was telling him what to throw? Melvin?
Pitching coach, I don't know. He seemed like the game plan was not sufficient, and that they went away from his sinker, too many four-seam fastballs, and like he didn't agree with the game plan. And he's the veteran. He needs to step up, and he should call his own game. He should dictate what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, because if he's getting shelled, then what's the point?
Would you trade Logan Webb to the A's for someone like a Leroy Butler and a couple of other younger, maybe another hitter and a pitcher, solid younger pitcher? I don't know. He's from Sacramento. I don't know if that would be I saw that in the chat. Somebody said trade him to Sacramento so he's home. I don't know. How about would you trade him for this DeVries kid that they got from San Diego, along with a pitcher coming back? That would be kind of exciting. No, you don't get Kurtz and DeVries for Webb. I'm sorry. R. Clark 415. You might get DeVries. I don't think you're getting Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz is a stud. You're definitely not getting both of those guys. You'd be lucky to get one, but you're not getting both. Logan Webb is valuable, but those guys are something else. They're young and they're potential
cheap
perennial all-stars, and they're cheap. Yeah. I don't think, if you could get DeVries for Webb and maybe another pitcher, I would do that. I would do that.
I don't know if the timing works out.
Cliff says he'd trade Webb to Boston for Harrison, Hicks, Bello, and whomever they acquired for. Yeah. All right, man. Let's get out of here. I'm tired. It's late. It's what is it? 11 o'clock. Good time to end it. All right. What's tomorrow? Wednesday? What do they got? A 1 o'clock game tomorrow?
12:40. 12:40.
12:40 tomorrow. Who takes the mound? Verlander against who's pitching for the D-backs?
Brandon Pfaadt.
Brandon Pfaadt. Okay. Well, he's up and down. He can. He might be. You never know what he's going to bring.
13-8. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad. If he's on, they're in trouble.
3-0 at home with an ERA of 1.32 in the last 3 home games.
Yeah. He can be a good pitcher. So tomorrow's all lefties tomorrow. So it's probably DHing Eldridge. You're going to have Lee in the lineup. They're probably going to go. Wouldn't be surprised if Gilbert's in there. Wouldn't shock me even to see McRae in there tomorrow, the way the Giants are. But they have been very hesitant to pull Elliot Ramos out of any game this year and sit him. So we'll see. See where this thing goes. Guys, thanks for being here. Make sure you do hit that like button. We appreciate it. And we will see you. Excuse me. We'll see you, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, probably. Something like that. 8:30. We'll figure it out. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.